And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Sylphid, we have the Brood War Terran player. We have the blue Terran. It is MilkiCow. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have the StarCraft 2 Zerg player. We have the red Zerg representing Team Falcons. It is a Solar. Here we go, as we're settling into our next quarterfinals match. As a reminder, TJ does advance on to the semis, where he's waiting for his next opponent, of course. On the other side of the bracket, we have Solar and MilkiCow. And welcome to Sylphid. Sylphid is a 3-player spawn map. You can spawn in top side, left side, and right side as well. 3 possible spawn locations, and Solar has been on fire as of late. Again, Solar, it was this week that Solar took down Clem, for example. Solar, he has been excelling specifically in ZvT as well. Solar has been looking very on point, very on fire, and it's gonna take a lot to bring him down. Now, StarCraft Evolution is a different format, of course, is a different game mode, so there are different pros, different cons, different ways to trip a player like Solar up, and MilkiCow is going for the 3 racks. Yeah, he's going for the 3 racks here. It's going to be a 3 racks into Academy, into Stim timing. If you remember, we did briefly discuss and talk on the meta of SC Evo last game, talking about how, last series even, talking about how the meta has shifted, especially a lot this year, to shorter games, and it's been a little bit rarer to see longer games, partially because of this build, of this early Stim timing. This was very prevalent and very prominent throughout the entirety of the year. Has been nerfed quite heavily, has been adjusted quite heavily because of its strength, but is still a viable way to play, still a viable build. Again, it's going to be very strong, very early Stim timing, and we'll see how familiar Solar is with this. Now, when it comes to Solar, he is one of the newer players to play SC Evo. Solar, he was kind of indoctrinated, or he was kind of lured in a couple of months ago during the Murloc King tournament, during the Murloc King and Chijik event, that really kind of like hooked its teeth, like SC Evo hooked its teeth into Solar during that event. And post that Murloc King event, Solar's been playing a lot more SC Evo. He's been competing a lot more, playing a lot more, and it's been really cool to see Solar be one of the newer players to kind of hop over and not just try SC Evo, but like commit to playing it even more. So just really cool to see. I would say that's the latest kind of like players to the latest wave of players to like actually play and commit a little bit more time into it would be Solar, Rogue, and Cure. I'll say those 3 players have been playing, and I guess Creator was just before them. I think I would say Creator was just before them, but I guess he might also be in that batch. Creator was like maybe a month after EWC, or like a couple of weeks, or during EWC. It was like around that era. So Creator, Solar, Rogue, and Cure. So it has been really cool to see that latest wave of Koreans. Meanwhile, here comes our Stim timing. Stim is almost done. Mass Marine is rallying across the map, but behind this, we do have a Roach defense set up here by Solar. You know, Spine Crawl on the way. Roaches are amassing, and with Roaches, Solar, and the Spine should be able to defend. We even cancels the confidence here from Solar. Okay. Very confident. No third. Solar staying on 2 bases. So does Brood War Zerg even have Splash? Plague is pretty huge. Plague, oh papi. But again, as I mentioned before, like a lot of games don't usually last that long. But also, a lot of my sentiments, a lot of my thoughts on SC Evo are also a little bit outdated, right? Like during the off season, we didn't really get to experience much of SC Evo. So during that time, we may have seen some changes, especially with the ladder being updated, with the ladder being released. I'm sure the meta now can evolve a little bit faster than it used to. So I'm ready, I'm excited. For now, Solar, he will defend on 2 bases. He will go for a delayed 3rd base as he had to get into the Roaches early on. We see MilkiCow still sharking around, looking for that 3rd, and looking for a way in. Oof, yeah, there's a couple of Hellbats that make it into the mineral line. Sorry, Firebats. My apologies. The other one. But Solar, he defends well here on 2 bases. He gets his 3rd base, he's got a decent roach count, and the game will continue. This early timing from MilkiCow was unable to really achieve too much damage. I say that he is sneaking up on the 3rd, and can he force a cancel? Oh, stims in. It does stim in. It does stim forward, and will be able to force a cancel. Very nice. But he's trapped. Uh-oh. It does force a cancel, but can he get out? He stims on forward, he gets 1, he gets 2 roaches. Does peel off, does pull away. Getting a queen on the retreat. And, oh, it doesn't fully get out though. A nice flank there from Solar. Picking off the medic. Medic goes down, and MilkiCow does pull out. So oh, sorry, my apologies. My apologies. It's Solar. I saw the homeowner's nameplate on. My apologies. Did fix it up. The lurkers might be hard to make splash before 3x timing though. If you're referring to the Brood War defense of this kind of build, because Bjorn and other SC2 Terrans do go for 3x's against Brood War Zerg, you are heavily reliant on stack defense. It's a bit of a different change of pace if you're a little bit less familiar with Brood War Zerg side of things, but static defense is a lot more necessary to actually hold early on. So getting your sunken colonies up and running is a big part of that, just because you have no queens. Remember, Brood War Zerg, they have no queens, so early game defense is even weaker, so you have to rely a lot more on side defense. Because you don't have any queens, you don't have any roaches, you don't have any banelings either. So colonies are a big part of that. Meanwhile, we do see MilkiCow poke in, does get one of the queens. Queen gets picked up, but Alas is bleeding out too much against the roaches. Again, roaches that built to tank. They're built to tank, they're built to punish, and Solar, he will punish. He will clean all of this up. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, big overextension from MilkiCow. Remember, there are no Medivacs. He cannot escape, he cannot pull away. Or, I mean, he can try, but he bleeds out so much in the process. Triple sunken out? Yeah. Yeah, MilkiCow getting desperate. He does pull the boys. The boys are being pulled. And he's going to lose so many workers here in the defense. Oh, Miles are dodged. That's going to be 12 SCVs already. Yeah, I guess 20 SCV kills. Ay, ay, ay. MilkiCow losing every single worker at his natural. Medics are exposed. Oof. And MilkiCow has interrupted. Things are looking rough. Things are looking rough here, Pappy. The hyper-aggressive style here from MilkiCow just has not panned out. It's not worked well. Not against this more roach-heavy composition. Again, in general, roach play is just safer to play here as SC2 Zerg. Going into Ling Bane would have been much more difficult against MilkiCow, but going into roaches, again, a little more robust. It builds up over time, and it can overwhelm in the mid-game. At this point, Solar doesn't need a tech up. We don't need Hydras, we don't need Lurkers, we don't need Hive Tech. Just max out on Roach Ravager and break the Terran. Maybe some infestors in the mix could help, but even then, not necessary. As MilkiCow is getting ready for the third wave. Poke in. And once again, pokes in, still just out trading. Behind the Solar, he's on a 3-base economy. And GG gets called. Again, he can just keep on going and chase him down, and Solar takes game number 1. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Solar, he does take a lead in the series. Again, MilkiCow was hyper aggressive with his opener, going for the 3x, going for the sim timing, but Solar played it safe. He went for a really early Roach Warren. Solar, he delayed his third. Remember, his third base was late to afford the Roach Warren, to afford the Roach production early on, to be able to pull off that defense and go for a later third base. It is a little more common here to delay your third base in this matchup just because of how common it is to go up against a 3x. So with that, Solar, he shuts it down, GG. GG, well played. Solar takes the lead, and now we're jumping to game number 2. Solar, it's his turn to play Brood War Zerg. Let's go. Let us go. On the flip side, you're essentially immune to DT rushes, kind of. I say kind of because if you remember, in Brood War, a viable build, a viable strategy for Protoss was to go Corsair DT against Zerg, right? Where the role of the Corsair is to hunt down the Overlord specifically to allow for the DTs to get some damage done. And you can try to emulate that with SE2. Try to. But you are correct though, that Overlords are like permanent detectors. That is true for Brood War side of things, for Brood War Zerg. But there were some niche builds in Brood War that allowed for DTs to be viable in some way. But here we go. Here we go. We're getting into our next game and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of a Celestial Enclave. We have the red Terran player. We have the SE2 Terran now. It is MilkiCow. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the blue Zerg player, the Brood War Zerg, representing Team Falcons. It is Solar. We go. As we load into a much larger map, much more defendable map as well. Remember, there's a ramp coming into the natural, and this ramp means even more here. So, for those that may be watching StarCraft Evolution for the first time, SC Evo is not just Brood War units versus SE2 units, not just on like older maps or newer maps. There are some other changes as well. I spoke briefly about one of the changes, that is on a 4-player spawn map, you actually get pinged 2 locations and one of them is removed, so now you have a higher chance of scouting your opponent, for example. That is unique to StarCraft Evolution. Another unique feature is high ground. There's a mischance. In SEvo in this mod, there is a mischance. There is no mischance in StarCraft 2. There is a mischance in Brood War. I believe it is a 43%? It's like just under 50%. It's like just under 50% chance. But I think it's like a 43% chance to miss if you attack up a ramp. So ramps and obscured vision, so high ground alongside steam vents and tall grass like this is even more important, even more impactful in StarCraft Evolution because of that mischance. There've been situations where we've seen a player try to all in with like, say, like Mass Blink Stalker, like attack up a ramp into like a wall of depots, and a volley of stalkers does 0 damage because because the depot is like bobbing and weaving, and they just miss. They just miss the depot, for example, right? Like, again, there is a chance to miss here, and it does mean that high ground is even more defendable than typically it is. Seeing deeper, seeing pylons like dodge and weave against range attacks, it's something to see. It's something to behold. It's it's crazy. And now MilkiCow does pull away. Pokes in. MilkiCow did open up initially 2x Reaper. So it did open 2x Reaper. He is bullying those initial lings. Remember, early game defense can be more difficult here for Brood War Zerg because of the lack of queens. So we're forcing out a lot of Zerglings. Ling speed is done in 10 seconds. So far, it's going to be 6 dead Lings. Going for the middle line, getting one drone. One drone goes down. Ling speed is done in 1 more second. And MilkiCow has to get out of here. Yeah, he has to get the hell out of here. Has to pull away. And barely does escape. Whew. Okay, does pull out in time. Behind this, Solar does go for his pocket base, does go for his 3, initially now going to be 4 hatchery setup. Solar rushing into early carapace. Interesting early Evo chamber. You have my attention. The Evo chamber out of Solar. Oh, nice around. That should not have happened, but he does get 2 more Reapers. 1 Reaper left. Solar does pull away, and MilkiCow, he's freely mining on 2 bases here thanks to the pocket, right? Because the pocket base does have his own natural, his 3rd TC is on the way. A really greedy follow-up here out of MilkiCow, but he is safe and sound, and Solar is redroning as well. We're redroning behind this, getting into his own Hydra tech. Okay. This is relatively standard going into Hydra, then Lurker tech from there. We'll see if Solar does deviate into a different kind of tech path. Second Evo chamber tells us, yeah, we're building up into the mid game. So despite the aggressive start from MilkiCow, we're slowing things down, taking a step back. I see in the YouTube chat. If I may, are you from Canada, the States, or Korea? Neither. None of the above. Australia, Pappy, Australia. Aye, aye, aye. None of the above. Can't you tell from the accent? True, true. Now, despite born and raised in Australia, my accent is nowhere near as strong as like El Chanchito, as like Pig or Maynard or some of the others. Some of the other Aussie casters. My Aussie accent does flare up when I'm with other Aussies. Like I like I do say mate like quite a lot with like Aussie friends. So that does flare up. Otherwise, oh, yeah, otherwise we gotta drop into the pocket base. Imagine is almost like actually. Imagine instead of me saying papi all the time, I say mate all the time when talking to Aussies. That's almost the equivalent. Almost. Now Milky, again, we're building up with 3 bases. Generally here, Celestial Enclave, because it's so large, because there's so many bases, then we do typically get longer games here. So let's go. We have the Queen's Nest on the way. With this, we can work towards Hive Tech. We can work towards Queen production. I will say a lot of the strength in Brood War Zerg does rely on their spellcasters, whether it's I'm gonna say Devourers, whether it's Defilers with their Plague, with their Plague, for example. With their own version of Microbial Shroud. Oh, Dark Swarm, that's it. That's what we're looking for. Oh, as these Hydras, they're going to be able to barely hold their own here. It's not the cleanest trade. Trading against Marines, mainly Marine. So much more efficient for MilkiCow. Dropping back behind the mineral line, just keeping tabs here on Solar, keeping him busy. Oh, that does pull away. Whether it's Defiler, whether it's Queens themselves with Ensnare. The Queen is in Brood War, but it's a very different unit. Very different unit. And there it is. Ensnare is being researched. As the web does implicate, Ensnare is almost the equivalent of Fungal Growth. But it does last longer. It does last a lot longer. And of course, it's produced by a flying spellcaster unit, so I would say it's stronger than Fungal. There is a downside though. Ensnare does no damage. And what does that really mean? It's not really about the damage, but because it does no damage, it does not interrupt snipes, right? It does not interrupt the ghost ability. That's why Fungal is so good against ghosts, because Fungal makes sure the snipe is denied, right? The snipe is cancelled. So that is something to bear in mind. Of course, Queens, they can also Parasite. And Spawn Broodling. As we do see MilkiCow almost getting caught on creep. Sorry, on the map, I should say. He almost gets caught out, has to pull away. Lurker Tech is being researched. The Queens are ready, and Snare has been researched as well. He's ready for this. He wants to catch the army. Queens are coming in. Queens do come in. First Queen gets focused down. Ooh, and Snare does land. Is there enough support on the ground though? Not enough. Yeah, there's not enough lings, not enough supports. The Hydras, they cannot fight on their own. They have to pull away. And you can see how long Ensnare lasts. Like it was still going, bad. It was still going on. As once again, I mean, this time the Hydras, they fight out of range of the tanks at least. As more Hydras are filing in, Marines, they're slowly breaking through. Tanks are sieging up. That's a lot of Hydras going down. And MilkiCow is overwhelming. Yeah, he's just overwhelming here. So many dead Hydras. Lurker Tech is not done in time. And the Master Marine, he stims, and he wins. Breaks through the Hydras, GG gets called, and MilkiCow, he overwhelms. He takes game number 2, tying up the series 1-1. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Against Solar, the Lurker tech was just too little too late. He had no backbone to his army. Too many times we saw Solar take these fights with almost pure Hydra, and you can see just Hydras are so inefficient on their own. They need that support, whether it's Ling support or Lurker support, one or the other, right? Whether it's Lings to support the army or Lurkers as the backbone instead, but on their own, again, just really brutal trades, specifically against Mass Marine. GG, and of course the tanks behind them as well. So GG, well played. We did get to see Ensnare, we did get to see some I almost said Vipers, some Queens, but alas, we didn't really get to embrace that later game states. Not fully, but GG. GG, well played. With that, we're getting into game number 3. Going to be loading into that third game, going to be loading into Ruby Rock. Let's go. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Ruby Rock, we have the red Terran player. We have the red Terran player himself, tying up the series 1-1 and forcing the ace match. He's once again playing Brood War Terran this time. It is MilkiCow. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the blue Zerg player, the SC2 Zerg representing Team Falcons. It is Solar. It's that kind of underwhelming. I mean, I would say it looked underwhelming there just because there was no follow-up. Oh, we're committing, Jesus. Because again, we saw that the Hydras on their own weren't able to capitalize on the Ensnare. If we did have a greater Ling Hydra army, I would favor Solar in that position. So just because the fights didn't go poorly, I don't think necessarily has much to do with the spell itself, but just more with the kind of follow-up, the kind of composition, the kind of army that was with the overall Queens. Because of the lack of ground army, you could even argue that was premature, right? There was no need for Solar to try to collapse on the army of MilkiCow when he didn't really have enough to engage fully. So with that, MilkiCow does set up across the map, going for the proxy 3 ranks. Let's go. Proxy 3 ranks out of MilkiCow. Solo going hatch first, going hatch gas pool, standard open out of our Zerg player, and so far he's in the dark. The Overlord is going to position itself here to scout the SCV. So the bunker rush should be scouted. Remember, no gas, Mass Marine bunker rush out of MilkiCow. Let's go. It's time to cheese back. Here we go, we are going to be revealing all 3 SCVs. Solo, where are we going? No, the Overlord should be parked outside the natural. So the Overlord's out of position, MilkiCow does move in, bunker's going to be thrown down, and this is ideal for MilkiCow. We'll see if Solo can deny this. Can he stop this? As he's going for the Roach Warren. He's giving up the natural. Gives up the natural Roach Warren in the main. This bunker will finish, and MilkiCow, he will scout, he will confirm the Roach Warren. He knows. MilkiCow is aware. One Zergling does slip out. And it does slip out. You can see Milky how he ignores the natural. Good call. He ignores the natural. He's going straight for the main. Queen has arrived. There's a couple of Zerglings, and Milky, how can he get into the mineral line? Can he do any meaningful damage? Oh, yeah, boys are being pulled, coming in for the surround, and he's going to be locked down. Yeah, he's going to be locked down here. Gets fully surrounded. Three Marines are picked up. Lings trickle in. He's thrown away. No, he can't get into the bunker. Yeah, cannot get in. We have 2 Marines in the bunker, but the Bio army gets cleaned up, and Solar, he will save his natural as a result. Solar, he's came for the production, and with enough Queens with the Roaches, he will defend that natural base. Solar, he shuts us down. He will not lose his natural. And I don't blame MilkiCow for trying to get into the main base, for trying to do more damage, more meaningful damage. But alas, he was punished. He was punished in the end. He was punished, he was surrounded. And this was not worth it for MilkiCow. If he at least killed the base, then we could try to deviate away and transition out of this. But the natural is saved. Solo can go back to droning. For now, he is once again forcing, or should be trying to force a lift. Let's be careful. We have a 4th ranks on the way. Academy is done, getting into U23HLs. Getting there. From here, Solar, he's not droning, by the way. He totally could drone and saturate, but no, he's building up more roaches, building up an army, and eventually he's gonna move out. Move out across the map. Speaking of, does want to check to see if the Raxes are floating. Does spot one, but the other's still there. There we go, CC for MilkiCow. Now Solo knows that half the production is across the map. So let's catch a rally. Gets a Marine. Gets a Marine. Solo does rally in. And MilkiCow already going to be bleeding out some boys here. Yeah, he does pull the boys to try to defend. He's trying to hold on. Stim is done in a couple of seconds. With Stim, he could maybe chase us down. Maybe. Here he goes to the Stim. Gets one. Gets two. These are 2, 3, 4 roaches. Not bad. Gets 4, 5, soon to be even the Ravager as well. Nice pickups here by MilkiCow. Cleans up the entire army. Very nice cleanup. Shuts down Solar. At the same time, did cost him all of his SCVs. He's down to 18 workers. Oof. Less than 1 base saturation. Solar, he's fully saturated on 2. Lair is on the way. MilkiCow, he is pretty committed here. He's pretty all in. He lost so many SCVs. And can he break the natural?
Base is under attack.
Let's put a couple of roaches. Time is of the essence here. The other issue, unfortunately, is that MilkiCow, he cannot regenerate his HP. He has no medics. He might want to wait. Yeah, there we go. Medics are on the way. Medics are on the way. On the one hand, it's going to be really nice to be able to heal up his units and be able to stim a little bit more freely. The downside is he's waiting, right? He's giving Solar time to build up a greater army. Remember, when the Marines were initially moving out, there were, what, 4 roaches? There were 4 roaches to defend. Now there are 10. Now there are 11. It's going to be 14. 14 roaches, 1 Ravager. Suddenly, Solar, he has an army. Spinecrawler on the way. Cancels, feeling confident he doesn't need it. Spots the army returning. And MilkiCow is going for a 3rd CC. He's going for the 3rd CC. MilkiCow is going to try to macro out of this, but again, he is far behind in the worker count. Got a long ways to go back. Now we're scanning. Solar's moving in. Solar doesn't have to commit, but with this he is aware of the 3rd. He's aware of the 3rd base. Files here on the bunker. Bunker goes down. Remember, there's no tanks behind this. And Solar just poking in and baiting out stims is good enough. Yeah, Pit is on the way. That should be for fungals, for infestors. 3rd base getting up, getting saturated. The one thing that's concerning for Solar is that he has to be careful not to overdrone. Like, I think saturating the third base is fine, but he needs to get eyes on any kind of move out. The Overlord is giving him so much information here. Whenever there is a push, then he needs to make sure he has an army to stand up and stand strong against MilkiCow. And not be overly greedy for now, getting up to full 3-base saturation. Third base is now floating over. And again, seeing the third base told Solar that he was free to drone. Now switching into Lingbane Roach Ravager. We have 3 safety infestors on the way for those fungal growths to lock down the army. Oh, a solar supply blocked. For now, again, we are just setting up. Ideally, Solar, he wants MilkiCow to push. He's ready with the infestors. Bailing speed is on the way. Hive is on the way. Solar just building up, macroing out. And as things stand, if things progress in this way, in the same trajectory, Solar's going to be the first to max. He'll be the first to max out. Again, he's had the better economy for the majority, if not all, of this game. So Solar is about to get up to 80 workers, then max out. And it's going to be a tough defense here for MilkiCow. What does MilkiCow need? I mean, what he's getting... 3 factories. 3 factories on the way. He needs a line of tanks. If he can secure himself, if he can turtle up on 3 bases, get a 4th base, and get a line of tanks up and running, then he can weather the storm and force a longer game. But he has to get there first. Right now, there's only 3 tanks. Only 3 tanks. He does get his Raxes in position. You can see he has no intention to make any more Marines. He is going for a mech transition. Problem is, it takes a while. It takes a while here for all the production to get up and running, for the upgrades to finish. MilkiCow needs time. And the problem with that is that Solar, he's about to max. He's at 180. He's at 180 supply. More Lings are being produced. And there it is. Solar's maxed. Solar, he's maxed out. Here comes the first wave. Here comes the first push. And it's gonna be a tough hold here for MilkiCow. Not impossible, but tough. I mean, the SimCity does help, right? He's got a wall. It's got a wall to protect himself. Solar, he rotates to the left-hand side. There is a bit of an opening here. 3 tanks in position. Bailey's gonna be rolling in. Ooh, they don't get the best connections. 1 tank goes down. Again, the choke point working well here for MilkiCow. Does reposition his SimCity. Once again, just creating 1 choke point. Spider mines are being thrown down. They're trying to be. Oof. Nice shot with the spider mines. And so far so good. MilkiCow, he's holding on. And as time goes on, MilkiCow's army is going to surpass Solar. So, oh, as MilkiCow's out of position. Yeah, completely out of position. Sims on over. Wow, does take down one of the tanks. There's 1 tank left. At least here, at the 3rd. Solar pulls away. MilkiCow, he's trying to expand out his 4th. Now, this does mean that MilkiCow is spreading himself thin. Now he's more vulnerable. He's more open. This 4th base is more accessible. Speaking of, Solar's going for it. Flies on the spider mines. Forcing a cancel. Ultras have arrived. They've got Kindness Plating, collapsing on the army. Fungals, they land as well. Yeah, massive Fungals. Tanks are going down. Catching out 2, 3 tanks, most of the Bio Army, and the 4th CC. Again, the moment the MilkiCow expanded, he exposed himself. The pants were down. Back to car. Vipers have arrived. They still 4 more tanks. The 5th tank goes down. Breaks down that front door, thankfully. Oof, the ultras are low, the ultras go down. With that MilkiCow, should barely hold on. Massive Hungle! But MilkiCow, he barely holds. Jesus, heavily overstimmed. The fungal cleans up. We have some Goliaths on the way? Question mark? I think the Goliaths were meant to be here for the Vipers. For sure, we got a couple of Goliaths. They help somewhat, I guess. We're going Mass Goliath? Pappy, this isn't 2024. What's For those who remember, Mass Goliath was something that we saw. It was in December of last year during the first season of the StarCraft Championship, the SEL Championship. Shout out to Spirits, shout out to Piotr. Oof. Yeah, as Ultras they rally in. They overwhelm. Vipers, now they come into support. I mean, hey, now the Vultures have something to do, I guess. And again, with that Solar, he even peels off into the mineral line. Oh, MilkiCow does try to split. He tries to, but everything else is on fire. The third base is burning down, the natural as well. Ultras are rallying in, and GG gets called a Solar. He will take the series 2-1, advancing on to the semi-finals. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Solar, he does claim the series. Again, a very intense back and forth here. It all began with MilkiCow, of course, going for the proxy 3-axe, which did fail. He failed to kill the naturally failed to really trade too well, and MilkiCow fell behind. It is impressive that MilkiCow made a game out of it despite that, but he was playing from behind for a long time. He was very dedicated to his bio timings, to his stim timings, where he was able to win some engagements. And if you remember, I think the biggest moment for MilkiCow was when he was able to catch out most of the roaches in the center of the map. When he caught most of the roaches when Solar was down to 4 roaches back at home. But remember, MilkiCow chose not to commit. He didn't know what he didn't know what he was moving into, but he felt safer waiting for his medics, and that gave time for Solar to build up his army, to build up his roaches, stabilize, and then just take it from there. GG. GG, well played with that. Congratulations to Solar. Congratulations, does advance on. And with that, we have our top 4 players here. We have our semi-finalists. It's going to be Tasia versus Isop and Solar versus Rumia. Let's go. Here we go. It's catching up in the chat. Flying eBay. Yeah. Different race, might be different race. Does the high ground affect biles? That is a good question. I don't know if that applies to abilities. I don't think. So I don't think it applies to biles, unfortunately. Just for attacks. Yeah. Vipers can yoink those tanks? Yes. They can abduct tanks. Kind of weird consistency wise that those tanks can be yoinked siege while the others cannot. I would disagree with that. I think it is important to, like, I would disagree with the fact that you don't need consistency, because there is a difference between Broodor Terran and an SC2 Terran with Broodor Zerg and SC2 Zerg. That's like saying, yo, isn't this inconsistent? Doesn't the Broodor Queen, you know, why is it flying? Why is it not like the SC2 Queen? It's like, no, they're different units. Same with the Broodor tank and the SC2 tank. They're different units. Like, sure, they have the same name, like the queens, right? Like the SC2 Queen and the Broodor Queen. They have the same name, but they are different units themselves. And sure, you can argue there are more similarities between the Broodor tank and the SC2 tank, but I think it is important to remember that they are different races, they are different units, and they at times could even have different roles as well. So I don't necessarily think that is necessary or required. I think it's, you could even argue that it's even better this way, just to hammer down the point that they are different. They are meant to be different, right? True. They're the same. But with that, same with like zealots, right? Like the Broodor Zealot and the SC2 Zealot, like one charges, the other doesn't. The other has only speed, right? Like they're meant to be different. and our different interactions. But with that, we are going to be going for a break. We're going to be cutting to a break here, so take this time to get some snacks, get some food, get some water, drain your disruptors, massage your marines, and we need like a brutal version of that. We remember to dial up your dragoons. I don't I did we will figure something out, but we're gonna be cutting to a short break. When we come back, we will have the semifinals and the grand finals, so we'll see you guys soon after the break. See you soon. Bye. See you soon.